Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Devon. Welcome to Plymouth. Welcome to Home Park. This is the destination for Norwich City's championship fixture this afternoon against the Plymouth side, who are very, very strong at home since the turn of the year, really. I think they've won 22 in 26 games here, 2 of 3 this season. This is going to be a very difficult task. Myself, we're joined by Paddy Dowett to bring you the team news as it drops in a few minutes' time. Paddy, Devon, I think this is the first time either of us have been to Home Park. It's a very, very tidy setup, isn't it?
Yeah, really nice. Yeah, very friendly people, and bit of a mission to get here in terms of from Norwich. But by all accounts, the anecdote you recounted about your auntie, maybe tell the good listeners / watchers comparable to their commute. We got off lightly with about 7 hours yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, I think a few Norwich fans who, if you'd have gone basically via, what's that? Is that the M5 from Bristol? I think you had quite a bit of trouble. So we didn't get that.
Connor, let's get this one out of the way.
No comment. Well,
I'll just put it back out there again. You need to explain it because not everybody's going to be well aware of.
So obviously,
what that relates to.
So I mentioned obviously we didn't go that way. We went. Where is Stonehenge?
We were staying in Somerset, about an hour and a half or so away. So we kind of, I don't want to bore anybody with the A roads, but basically through a well-known heritage site in this great land of ours called Stonehenge. But you didn't think it was that impressive, Connor, did you?
It's just stones in a field. I don't get it. I can appreciate that there's some historical importance to it, but 25 quid apparently they're charging to get in there. You can see it for free, just drive past.
Yeah, no, well, on that point, I'm not going to dispute, but I do take issue with you describing it as just a lot of stones. I mean, I'll tell you what, it was a lot.
Wrong about that description?
Well, it's factually correct, but there's a bit more to it than that in terms of, I think it is a heritage site, isn't it? I mean, we didn't look into it in any great depth, but yeah. I mean, there was a lot of camper vans there, so they were obviously parking up with a view to see the majestic beauty up at sunrise, maybe, I don't know, but
that's the most overrated landmark.
Okay, let's move on anyway. We've done that.
I've offended enough people by saying that. Someone has said wave to us in the away end. If you tell us where you are in the away end, then we're more than happy to wave, but I'm looking, I can't see anyone waving at me, so I'll just wave generally. There you go. There's a wave generally there, and hopefully someone's seen that, but there we go. Team news is about a minute or so away. Someone waved. I saw someone wave, so that's good.
You sure it was waving?
I have no idea who it was, it wasn't even necessarily us. But anyway, team news is about a minute away. We've seen the Norwich City players come out onto the pitch. We've seen John Rowe get absolutely soaked by a sprinkler as the players came in. I don't think there's anyone who was there that came as a great surprise or wasn't there who came as a great surprise.
Right.
And we have the team news here, and the big headline news is it's a first Norwich City start for Hwang Yu-jo. He starts alongside Adam Idah this afternoon. I'm wishing my life away. Norwich City have Gunn in goal, Stacey, Duffy, Gibson and Yanulis as the back four, Sauer and captain Kenny McLean the midfield two, Rowe on the left, Fashnacht on the right, with Hwang and Idah up front as a duo. And on the bench is George Long, Danny Bart, Sam McCallum, Kellum Fisher, Adam Forshaw, Shemiswav Poeta, Liam Gibbs, Tony Springett and Onel Hernandez. So that's one change from the team that were beaten 2-0 by Leicester in midweek, and that's Liam Gibbs being replaced by Hwang Yu-jo for his debut. Paddy, we had quite a few lengthy discussions on our very lengthy car journey both yesterday and this morning about the way David Wagner would go. I felt this about this time yesterday, and then sort of changed my mind halfway down and thought it might be a case of pushing Gabriel Sara forward and dropping Adam Forshaw in, as he kind of hinted in the press conference yesterday. So perhaps not a surprise given how much we know he likes to play with two centre forwards. But that's got what he's gone with this afternoon.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's of those two scenarios you portrayed there, and interchange Gibbs with Zara in the more 10 role with, we'll say, Idah as the link man or the striker. Sorry, that felt a bit more of a bolder call to go that route. So for me, it's conservative is probably not the wrong phrase, but it's a bit of a safer way to go at the start anyway, to put Hwang in there with Idah and keep Zara and McLean together. I mean, we got a clear sense of that when the players and coaches have arrived. Very soon after they arrived, back out of the dressing rooms came Beulah, McLean and Zara, and they had a conflab for a good 3 or 4 minutes. So that indicated that he was going to leave that unchanged, that area, the central midfield. So my mind immediately goes back to what I said to him yesterday about in terms of does the team shape in terms of forward areas need to change slightly if you are hypothetically now using an Idah as opposed to a Sargent, because they aren't like for like. Yes, we both know they are both strikers, but different in terms of their attributes and their strengths and weaknesses. And the answer from David, which is applicable to this lineup, is that no, what won't change is their approach in and out of possession, the structure, the shape. The players who come in and out, they will have to almost play within the existing shape we've seen. And if that's the case, then quite clearly Hwang alongside Adam Idah is, in David's view, hopefully a bit more akin to a Barnes and Sargent axis.
Yeah, and Ashley Barnes started, didn't he? It is two changes. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. It is two changes. Hwang and Idah coming in. I completely forgot that Ashley Barnes started. But I guess the forward areas is where a lot of the attention has been on since Wednesday night, and we saw Ashley Barnes limp out of that game against Leicester. We now know he's going to be out until after the November international break. So it is going to be these two, isn't it? And I guess we can branch that off probably into more of a conversation about Adam Idah, someone who hasn't really had a run like this at Norwich City. The prospect of 10 games as the main man. David Wagner spoke about him yesterday. Is it a case of now or never? Are we in those realms for Adam Idah, do you think? That's certainly where a lot of the fans' heads are at.
Yeah, understandably. And I think you've wrote a piece today, and now or never feels a little bit definitive for me. But what isn't in dispute is I don't think he will now, because the way the cards have fallen with Sargent at the earliest Christmas, probably more like January, and Barnes late November, early December. He'll never get a chance to really say, right, I'm taking a step forward. I don't want to be a bench and a cameo impact player. I want to be starting games in the Championship as it is in this season. You know, that I think is now or never, because inevitably, if he doesn't grasp this opportunity now, this extended opportunity, by the time we get to Barnes back, and then a little bit later on, by the time Sargent comes back, if he hasn't put his mark on it, then I think that's him. In terms of being the frontline striker, I think that's his chance gone for this season anyway, under this head coach, as it is for now. So, yeah, well, I'm not wanting to say if he doesn't do it in this spell, that's him and done and dusted at Norwich, because clearly that's not the case. We know the contractual status. They think a lot of him still. They think he's a longer-term asset at this football club. But in the here and now, yeah, he won't get a better opportunity. Let's put it that way. With Barnes and Sargent both out, unfortunate for them, but an opportunity for Adam Idah, and he needs to take it, because if he doesn't, you know, it's hard to see really a route to him once Sargent and Barnes are fit to get his way past those two players.
Yes, let's bring you the Plymouth lineup if we can, which will appear very, there you go. And this is how they line up. Hazard, Connor Hazard in goal. Mumba, of course, Bali Mumba playing at right wing back this afternoon. Scar. That's testing my. This is not fair. That's testing my pronunciation. Him in the middle. Gibson, well done. And Edwards, left wing back. Azaz, who's ex-Villa, isn't he? Very highly rated. Jordan Houghton, who's the more defensive midfielder, with Randell as the midfielder as well. Whittaker and Hardy up front. You're circling Bali Mumba.
Well, only because on that graphic, if that is the case, he's at right back, isn't he?
Might be more of a wing.
Well, I mean, you could say that, but you know, a right-sided defensive option. I think David Wagner would feel that he probably can't do that role. I mean, it will be interesting, as you say, the shape does set up to be an attacking wing-back.
He has been playing as a wide man as well this year.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And he'll need, in that shape, when Norwich have the ball, he'll need to do his defensive work. So is there an opportunity for Norwich to exploit that down the left-hand side with John Rowe, won't it? So that'll be a good matchup. Barley's interviewed in the programme here today, Plymouth programme, and said he's looking forward to meeting up again with John Rowe, and battles within battles, that could be key, because if John Rowe is getting the better of Bali Mumba, that would suggest Bali Mumba is going back towards his own goal rather than the other way, where I think we feel he probably is better. He's better as an attacking option rather than defensive, I think.
Is it a big afternoon for him? He got pulled at half time in midweek. I think David Wagner felt he was perhaps a little bit short of the levels that he wanted to see. It was a little bit loose in possession. I think he gave the ball away, which led eventually to Leicester being awarded a penalty. It's a real test of him, because he's had so much praise. He's been on this positive wave. This almost felt like the proper test, didn't it? When that performance didn't come and there was a game where maybe he didn't meet those levels. This is going to be a real test of where he's at and his progress this season.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get any real sense that they parted on poor terms in terms of him and Norwich and Wagner. You know, it was an acceptance on both sides that where he felt he could play and contribute didn't really tally with David Wagner's view of Bali Mumba's effectiveness. And of course, you had Jack Stacey in the mix, and even Kellen Fisher's progress through the pre-season. So I don't sense that he'll be out to put one over Norwich today, or Wagner specifically, or there'll be any revenge mission in his mind. He spoke in very warm terms in that interview in the match day programme about what a big club Norwich are, a Premier League, entity with great staff and great people. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, Stephen Schumacher, who is the manager here, he thinks a huge amount of Mumba. At League One, he was a standout player for them in that title-winning season. They look at a young player that you can see their group of players are young, in the main, hungry, up-and-coming types. You can see why he was so attractive to them to bring him into that mix. But you have to reiterate, both for Mumba, for a lot of players in this Plymouth squad, it's their first real concerted exposure to the Championship. It is a higher level than League One, clearly. And the results would tell you that, they're not quite there yet. 2 wins from the first 7, heavily beaten in midweek. Yes, we know he made a lot of changes, but, maybe that's to go back to David Wagner's thinking with Bali in the here and the now. Was he going to be better than Jack Stacey in a flat 4 right back role? The answer was no. And it's worth also reiterating the money more or less they banked for Bali Mumba was more or less the money they paid for Christian Fashnak. So in a financial sense, it also made a lot of positive, I think, for both parties. So good luck to Bali Mumba. I hope he goes on and has a very good career, and I'm sure we know there's attendant clauses if he does go on and goes higher than this. Norwich will recoup some more money, but my take on it when that all went through, yes, it was a bit of a shock, I think, initially that a player had done so well here last season who you felt could push on and be a bigger part of something at Norwich, that in quite such short order they decided to go their separate ways. But if you wrap all that context around it, it was the right move for Bali Mumba, clearly, and hopefully if Jack Stacey continues on the trajectory he's on, nobody would dispute he wasn't going to dislodge him at right back for Norwich this season. So it's a win-win for all. But obviously, I'm sure David will be hoping today he has one more of those ineffective type of games, and we're not talking about Bali Mumba coming back to haunt Norwich.
I did ask you about John Rowe, but the PA system was very loud, so it's all right.
You asked me about John Rowe?
It is, yeah. But that's all right, it's fine. How do you actually see this? I think someone did speak into the PA.
To be fair, I was a bit distracted with the team sheets.
No, that's all right. That's fine. But anyway, that's Bali Mumba. How do you see this game panning out, Paddy? It feels like a really interesting test. Plymouth very strong at home. Norwich, again, we spoke about this as well. It feels a little bit narrative setting, I guess, because you win this one and you bounce back from another defeat. But a defeat here today would kind of be, it'd be 3 defeats in 4, and contrast that with the positive start they had. The line-ups running across the bottom of the stream, Steve. So hopefully you can see that. But it's a really interesting afternoon, isn't it, for both sides and their progress?
Yeah, well, we'll focus on Norwich in this answer, Connor. Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, you used the word narrative earlier in the day, and you get beat here today and comes off the back of Leicester. Yeah, I wouldn't dispute that they probably deserved something in that second half from that game. So, but if it's another link in the chain to a defeat, and then it's not that far since Rotherham, and the injuries as well, particularly if they struggle in the final third today in terms of not just losing the game, but they look a bit toothless at the top end of the pitch, then it starts to feel, they've gone into a difficult phase so early in the season, a real testing phase, and I already feel that without Sargent and now Barnes, I feel it's a holding pattern until you get those 2 players back, and by that I mean maybe it's a case of just trying to stay in and around that top 6 as we progress through the next 2 or 3 months. Of course, if Idah catches, if Wang catches, some of those midfielders really step up and accept that extra responsibility, they can continue on this course. But I think we have to be realistic and say you've taken Sargent and Barnes out, and they were so pivotal to how well Norwich has started this season as a pair, not just as individuals, that now it feels like it's going to get a lot tougher. And as a result, I would be delighted if Norwich were in the top 6 by the time we get to Josh Sargent back and fit and available, because then you feel they could really recapture the essence of these opening weeks with those two players available, and they could go on and have a very strong second half of the season and hopefully take that to where they want to go as a club. But right here, right now, and today might be more evidence of that. It feels like it's going to be a bit of a holding pattern for the foreseeable, I think.
Yeah, and before we come to score predictions, I wanted to mention those Norwich City travelling supporters. It's 1,600 Norwich fans here this afternoon, which, considering this is the longest trip of the season, it is, isn't it? The length of travel, the issues that certainly we had last night. I think the coaches left Carrow Road at 5:30 this morning, and we saw them pulling in just before 1 o'clock this afternoon. So that gives you an idea of the length that it's taken a lot of them to come from Norfolk to Devon. That's a hell of an effort, isn't it, Paddy, to see them in yellow and green there, and I'm sure the players will greatly appreciate their support, and hopefully it's on the levels that we heard at Rotherham and against Leicester as well. I thought all of those occasions the fans are excellent.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, you've mapped out the journey to get here. I mean, 6 o'clock tonight, they're back on a coach in many cases, and if they go back to Norfolk, it's going to be early hours of Sunday morning. It's a phenomenal effort. The time, the expense, and you just hope for their sakes that they do get a performance today and a result, hopefully, because they didn't get that really at Rotherham. They were shortchanged there. But conversely, anybody who was at Huddersfield would have been delighted with what they saw from their team that day, and obviously Leicester at home, I think, but never be in doubt the dedication it takes to do that. I mean, it's one thing going away. I mean, everywhere's a bit of a schlep, isn't it, from Norwich, but this is different level. Hopefully they'll go past Stonehenge and they can marvel at the beauty of the stones on the way home.
Well, let's hope that's about as entertaining. Well, hopefully this game's more entertaining than that'll be in any case. Score prediction then, Paddy. How do you see this game? How do you see this game going? Are Norwich City going to record a victory here this afternoon?
I think it's going to be tough, given their record, given the fact that he's made apparently Schumacher 7 changes. We were speaking to the Plymouth Herald chap, and by all accounts, that was with a view to keeping his key players fresher for today's challenge. So they're 3 wins from 4 actually in all competitions here. You mapped out at the outset their 2023 calendar record is off the Richter scale here, 22 wins in 26. I know it's a different level, but and then you map over that the injury issues Norwich have now at the top end of the pitch. Norwich are certainly capable of coming here and getting a result, but I just think it might be another difficult afternoon. I'm going to say 2-1 Plymouth.
Yeah, I was in the same school of thought, but I feel like I need to be a bit more positive. So I will go 2-0 Norwich, but I don't really believe that, to be honest. That's it'll probably be a draw now. We've said that, won't it?
I'll take the draw,
yeah. So there we go. Pinkin.com, of course, the place to go. You can subscribe to the Pinkin Plus for plenty more content that isn't about Stonehenge, and hopefully is a little bit more insightful and analytical about Norwich City. I'll be on the live blog this afternoon if you want to follow live updates and join the debate across there. And then Paddy Davitt will be putting the questions to David Wagner post-match. Thank you all very much for watching. And I wish I'd try and leave you with a sight if Paddy holds the microphone of those Norwich City fans.